Do you believe this stuff that's coming out of your mouth? There's no way you do.
This was a credit card cuckold.
Love wins out in the end, you know?
It's December the 29th, folks. We are running in to the new year. We are post-Christmas, pre-New Year's. So we have got Douglas, William Wade. We've got the VP of Hype, Dominic Rose. Hello, gentlemen. How was Christmas? How are you today? What's going on out there? Doug, you're in the Natty, where the girls call me Daddy, Fred Durst. And Dominic, you're in Columbus?
Yes, sir.
What's going on, fellas?
Well, not a whole lot, man. As far as Cincinnati goes, it's so amazing. All of these Bengals fans down here, all of my buddies, they are, as we speak, just up in arms about the Browns' performance. They are dying for the Browns to win. They're all Browns fans today.
That's right. Yeah.
And I am actually a Browns fan rooting for the Browns to lose. So it's pretty ironic what is going on. But the Browns are starting for the third week in a row the worst quarterback in the history of the NFL to ever start a game.
I thought
Not
Deshaun
3
Watson
games
was
in a row.
hurt. Listen, he's the second worst quarterback in the history of the NFL. The Browns have the first one, too. So do the Bengals need the Browns to win today?
They need the Dolphins to lose one of their last 2 games, so that's why
Okay.
they're rooting for the Browns. They needed the Colts to lose also, who did. And then, of course, the big one is they need the Broncos to lose to Kansas City next week, which is the one that looks the least likely to happen because Kansas City is supposed to be resting all their start next week. So
I don't know what to think about the Bengals,
not looking
man.
good for the old Bengals.
Yeah, they're they just won't die. I mean, you know what I mean? They're something. That Joe
They
Burrow.
should have never been in this position. I mean, there's been Joe Burrow's the third quarterback in the history of the NFL to throw like over whatever it is, however many yards, 40 touchdowns, and less than like 5 interceptions. Both the other 2 guys who did it won the MVP. Not only is Burrow not going to win the MVP, his team's not even going to make the playoffs. That is how historically bad his defense is.
Well, according to Urban Meyer, he was the third-string quarterback. So, Dom, are you stoked? I mean, the Vikings are boat racing the pack right now. They're just running them off the damn field. I didn't see this coming. I didn't see it coming. I don't think a lot of other people did either.
Well, here's the kicker. So, as a season ticket holder, I'm getting text messages from the guy who sits next to me. I don't know how a team will. It would be great if they could reseed because they're going to literally have the 5th seed. If they lose again to Detroit, they will be 15-2 and have the 5th seed and be playing away.
You want to reseed for you? It's how the cookie crumbles.
We just spoke about Joe Burrow. Let's take a second to recognize the great Sam Darnold. I mean, today the guy is 29 of 36 for 312 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, this guy's unbelievable. And they're talking about getting rid of him in Minnesota next year. What is going on?
Well, now Doug's being a smart ass right now, which is fine.
No, I'm not.
But I will say I'm a huge fan. You are. Now listen, Dom and I can both hear it in your voice that you're being a damn smart ass for some reason. I don't know why. You don't like the Vikings or you're busting Dominic's balls. But the reality is this. He was sitting on the sidelines, and there was that gif of him saying he sees ghosts when he was throwing the picks against New England. And you got to give this young man credit.
I love Darnold.
I don't know. You don't love Darnold.
I do love Darnold.
You don't love anything good and
Darnold's
right when it comes to the NFL.
I don't understand why this J.J. McCarthy talk. It's nonsense. McCarthy's the one I don't like.
Who likes him?
Well, Vikings fans, apparently.
No, they don't like him.
I
no
don't.
one likes him.
They ran Cousins out. Now they want to run Darnold out.
Well, Dom, what do you think about that? What I mean, they can't run Darnold. They can't. I mean, you can't run. You gotta sign him. And then you've got this McCarthy. What do you mean they won't?
They won't re-sign him. Their mistake that they made was they overpaid for Cousins, so they couldn't pay for any other positions on the. They couldn't pay for defensive. Here's Justin Jefferson again, going, Jesus Christ, this is awesome to watch. You overpay for a quarterback, just like let's look at Cincinnati. Why were they doing so? Why did they go to the Super Bowl before? Well, Burrow was on a rookie contract. So you overpay for a quarterback. Yeah, it's great to have a great quarterback, but it doesn't do you any good when the other 21 guys aren't up to snuff. So Their motto is they have who's the guy from the Giants? They have Daniels
Daniel
on the
Jones.
practice. Daniel
Well,
Jones.
they do have.
They have him on the
They
practice
do.
squad.
Hey, that's a nice quarterback room they've got.
So
Wow.
the idea is just to take these guys who have been on bad teams with bad coaches, put them up there to start. If McCarthy is good, then let him play. But I don't think he is. I don't like him. I don't think he's a good pick.
It's a terrible take.
Yeah,
Dom, I love you. Doug, you agree? That was
Why?
just
awful.
Why is that a terrible take?
If that's what the Viking strategy is, that's ridiculous. I mean, you can't
I,
win without a quarterback, and Darnold is having a year. This is not.
No
this
one
is
is
not
saying
like,
that.
we could plug anybody in there. This guy is top 3 in the MVP voting right now. I mean, come on, man.
and
Hold on.
Darnold wasn't. Listen, they needed a veteran quarterback as a backup. They got Darnold. Darnold has been working his way back up, and so when McCarthy got hurt, he steps in.
No,
Dom,
he was always the start. Hold on. He was always the starter. If you don't think the proof is in the pudding, last year before Cousins tore his Achilles, he was a top 5 quarterback. Goes to Atlanta, gets replaced by a rookie. He's benched.
I understand.
So
That's
I'm
apples
saying
to-
is no, it's apples to apples because you can.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Because
Here's their theory.
ACL,
Their-
bro.
okay.
Dom, no, bro, no. I'm sorry, no. The bottom line is this: Sam, you're looking at the number 1 seed here now, right? Minnesota.
It has to be Detroit.
Either 1 or 5.
But if they win, they could win. They control their own destiny.
No, Detroit does.
Yeah. No, if they beat Detroit,
If Minnesota
if they
wins
win
out,
tonight,
all right,
yeah,
let's just
last
look.
game's
They
in Detroit.
control their own destiny. Let's say, look, Detroit's defense.
Wow, what a game
defense-
next week. I didn't realize they were playing next week.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes.
Goodness.
So here's Minnesota. Let's just hypothetically say they win they get the number 1 seed. They make it to the Super Bowl. Sam Darnold is the quarterback of your future for the next. I mean, you can't. It doesn't. There is no. That's it. Right? Are we agreeing on that, Dom, or what are you saying?
If
No?
they make it to the Super Bowl,
I think, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, number 1 seed.
And I'll
Look
tell
at
you
his
what.
record. Look what he's doing. Look, Doug just said he's in the top 3 of the MVP voting.
Okay. If they get number 1 seed, that means I will have a home playoff game, NFC North. We can take the show to Minneapolis.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Why?
Season tickets.
Yeah, but how did that correlate into the question you were just asked? Where are we at here?
Dominic,
You're saying. I'm telling you. I'm just saying. I'm saying.
Jesus.
I know what you're saying. Darnold makes it to the Super Bowl.
What are you saying? It's so funny.
I'm saying
This
if
goes-
he makes it to the
Oh,
Super
my
Bowl,
God. Your
if he makes it
texts-
there, yes, you will see me change my mind in real time if they win the NFC North, if the NFC Championship. That's what I'm saying. Do I think he's great? Do I think he'll stay? I would love for him to stay, but not at like $50 million a year, which he's going to get after this year.
You know what I
That's
want
that's-
to happen?
Go ahead.
I want the Vikings to not re-sign Darnold and put JJ McCarthy in there and go 6-11 next year and say, wow,
Right. I mean,
that was a dumb idea.
Dom,
Or-
you're a funny guy. You're an awesome human being. You are a funny sports fan. You've got some strange takes, bro.
You think overpaying for a quarterback is a strange take?
Dom, it's the market.
Yeah, what's
nobody's
overpaying?
worth $50 million. It's the market. It's what they make. It's not. You're thinking of like Dom's mom and Paul garage shop. Like, I'm not going to pay you $20. It's the market. It's just what they just fill in. Slots. You win the MVP. Boom. This is what you're making. You get to the Super Bowl. You're considered one of the. They line them up. $50 million. That's yeah. That's probably what he's going to make. Yep. And so, where does that leave JJ McCarthy? I mean, what do you do with him? You trade him?
Well, he's still young.
He's still on a rookie contract.
You treat him like Jordan Love. You keep him on the bench. You let him. You got
Okay.
insurance.
Well, that's what it is. I mean, I just don't think people had. I mean, I know Doug didn't. I mean, this was Doug. The Minnesota under was one of Doug's just lock plays of the century.
I did like the under.
Very few.
Although I didn't put it on the shows in my 5 picks on the show.
Well, I just put it on for you, and Dominic shut you up with the $100 wager. But the point is, very few people, nobody saw this coming.
The theory being is that Kevin O'Connell is great with whatever quarterback he gets in that room. That's the theory. I don't know if it's true or not. I just know we lived with overpaying for Kirk Cousins for 6 years and didn't do squat. Cleveland overpays for Deshaun, doesn't get squat. Look at you guys.
But quarterbacks they're all overpaid, bro. You can't just enough with it, right? And what can you do? Would you rather be the Vikings, the Cowboys, who lost by 800 points today, or the freaking Browns? Hey, the Browns right now. It's a positive note. They had their paid attendance today was 847 people. Can you imagine? That's pretty good.
That's incorrect.
That's pretty good for this team. This weather, 847
Best fans in the
people
world.
showed up.
Best fans in the world. We're starting the worst quarterback to ever play an NFL game.
Dom, do you see? Dom, do you have this game on television? Do you see this empty stadium they're playing in? It's so pathetic. It's pathetic. I love it. There's literally we could walk. They don't even have security guards. You just walk in. We just walk right in, grab some popcorn, walk out, walk back in. Look at this. Wow. 13-3. It's competitive, though, at least. All right, well, listen, here's the deal, folks.
A little better than those Cowboys.
Not a doubt. The Dallas Cowboys today made a mockery of all things great in this world.
Yeah.
They made a mockery of the Old Testament and New Testament. They made a mockery of this wonderful God that created everything, this beautiful country of ours. They made a mockery of apple pie, of everything wonderful. Ice cream on a summer day. Don't get me started. Fucking Philadelphia Eagles. God. Kenny Pickens.
That's sad.
That's who you should have. What's her name? Dominic. You should take Kenny Pickens. They'll take old Sammy Bradford.
Kenny Pickett.
Kenny Pickens. Kenny Pick, whatever might as well be Kenny Johnson, my next door neighbor.
Run the Pickens fence.
All right, boys, we're running the Pickens fence. We're going to use Jimmy as a decoy.
Don't let the paint dry.
Coach, I'll make it. All right, get it to Jimmy. Come around that Pickens fence, and don't let the paint dry, boys. 1, 2, 3, team. Final podcast of the year 2024, folks. Began back in May. We are now in over 110 cities, 11 countries. The most recent being Logan, Ohio. Hello, Logan. How about Ridgewood, New Jersey? Nashville, Tennessee. Sorry about that. I mean, we love you. I love everybody. Rocky Top, you'll always be home sweet home to me. It's all good. So welcome. Dunkirk, New Jersey. Those are the most recent cities, so thank you very much. Fan feedback, quickly. How about Brad in Clarksville, Tennessee? Brad says, I wish the only thing that annoyed my fiance was me eating pizza with a fork and knife. Count your blessings. Thank you, Brad. Katie from Michigan. There is no excuse ever to eat pizza with utensils. Ever. You two are way off on that one. Katie, we apologize. We'll try to do better next time. And finally, Doug said, Pulp Fiction. What a moron. I was 10 for 10, by the way. Ed from Mentor, Ohio. So Doug mistakenly answered, ho, 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 now I have a machine gun with Christmas would be trivia.
It's the same leading actor. It's not that big of it was a quick mistake.
He said Pulp, which I think I found it unintentionally funny.
Dom and I actually talked about that Sunday, and Dom's like, I get it. They got the same actor. It makes sense. It was a quick error.
Well,
I fixed it.
Okay. I know, but that's Dom. Listen, God bless Dom. He's always doing that for you. He's always like, oh, well, in fairness to Doug, a lot of people say stupid shit. He's always doing that for you, Doug. So
you are a Class A ball buster. You're Hall of Fame. What do you say? I'm a Hall of Fame drinker? You say you're a Hall of Fame ball buster.
I'm a me?
Yeah, first ballot ball buster. It's awesome.
How so? I won't.
What?
Because I think that's misleading. How am I busting balls? People often mistake busting balls with truth. Doug, am I telling the truth? Doug. Am I telling the truth? Dom is he's a very sweet human, and sometimes he tries to be a buffer. He thinks that maybe you and I are going at it a little harder than we are.
You are a ball buster at times. I mean, what?
How so? Give me an example.
Well, because like your stuff with Deshaun and the Browns, you're just constantly attacking. You're constantly.
Well, that's sports.
Come on, a reasonable explanation for the Pulp Fiction quick mistake. I got some other really difficult ones, and yet I'm just getting berated. Even you said on the show, nicely done, Doug. But now you've turned.
Ladies and gentlemen, notice I'm being called. Yeah, I'm being called a ball buster. I'm reading the fan feedback. That's all I did. And I also said that I whimsically got a kick out of it. I thought it was, because people. I told you it's easier when you're sitting there listening than when you're on the spot. And you did very well from the spot. And you saying Pulp Fiction, it was funny, not like haha, you're an asshole funny, but like.
I mean, listen,
Pulp Fiction instead of Die Hard funny.
To be quite honest with you, I'm not offended. Coming from Ed, I mean, Ed's the guy. Ed comes on the show, goes 0-6, and then he writes in that he went 6-0 off the show next week. So I mean, it is what it is. Let's move on.
And again, perhaps Ed could interpret the following information I'm about to give as ball busting, when in fact I'm simply going to present information to the people.
Hey,
not only did Ed go 6, Doug, but last week. I actually edited because I forgot on our recording. I asked him to give me picks. He was at work, and I wanted to give him a chance for the end of the new year to, save face. And I actually put those picks in. I edited those picks in, so they're on the record. He went 1-5. He went 1-5 last week.
That's what I'm saying. And he's worried about me mistaking Pulp Fiction quickly for. I mean, come on.
No. You see what you're doing is ball. Now, Dom, you see the difference. You see how Doug's like coming at him with a point.
It's a return ball bust. Yeah.
But do you see the difference? All I'm doing is presenting. Do you see the difference there? Doug's like, yeah. So they're Ed. Yeah. You suck. All I'm saying is you said Pulp Fiction, which I thought was funny. Ed went 1-5 as a follow-up to 0-6. I mean, to go 1-11. Oh, boy. But I am a first ballot unanimous Mariano Rivera Hall of Fame drinker, boys and girls. Don't you forget it. Hang on a minute.
I don't know why. I'd embrace the ball buster. I was actually busting Doug's balls about Pulp Fiction, and he said, well, they both have Bruce Willis in it. And I was like, damn, I didn't realize that.
And you would go, dog. That's right.
Well, I didn't know. There was a connection between Die Hard and Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, it is a lot. It was a quick error. I mean, Bruce Willis popped right into my head. I said Pulp Fiction, and I screwed up. I apologize. My God.
3,275 days today without touching the sauce, boys. That's how Mariano Rivera of drinking does it. You understand? I know my strengths, and one of my strengths is putting that whiskey down, boys. Someday I'll show you. Not today. Maybe tomorrow. Not today. Okay? Moving on. College football is alive and well. Welcome back, Ohio State Nation, Buckeye Nation, including the Lunatic Fringe. Welcome back, baby. Welcome back. Boys, what did you think of all 3 phases whooping smackdown the Buckeyes put on Tennessee?
The frustrating thing, I think, for some Buckeyes fans all year is we knew that type of performance was sitting there on our fingertips all year long. We've been waiting on it. And I even said in our recording a couple weeks ago, I felt very good about the matchup with Tennessee. We matched up very well with them. And
then took Tennessee plus the points. Which leads us right into the Rose Bowl, Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern, I believe. Revenge. Ohio State's a 2.5-point favorite, boys. What do you think?
This team, I think, is starting to gel. The time off after the Michigan game, the unifying the fringe fans like Dom that wrote the team off, that called for the coach's head, that locker room gelled and molded. They are a force to be reckoned with. I think we're the better team. I think we win this game. I think we cover 2.5 points. I think it's a tough game. What scares me is the motivation, if there's any motivation that Oregon could use, as being an underdog, being an undefeated underdog. This is
sure.
I know their coach is going to be playing that up, but man, I just see something in that. that defense right now, that the way they played, if they come out with that intensity next week like they did, I don't see us losing. I love where we're at right now, and I would take the Buckeyes minus 2.5 all day.
What do you think, Lunatic Fringe?
Great song by Red Rider. You
Great song.
Mhm.
Great song. You're welcome. Great song.
Vision Quest, if you want to know.
Great song. Lunatic Fringe.
Just
I know
to
that you're out there. What do you think, Dom?
Loud and Swade. If the same team shows up from Tennessee, shows up against Oregon, I think the Bucks win by 17, 18 points. Not even close. They are the best. They are the best team in college. They're the best roster in college football. And I think that's why everybody was so angry, including myself, at that loss the other week. So if that team shows up, I'll take Ohio State all day.
Yeah, but that we're not asking that. We're asking who are you taking, not if and buts. This isn't candy and nut time.
Not if and buts. I think there's still enough chip on their shoulder. I'm taking Ohio State minus 2.5.
What if that team doesn't show up? And then, third question, what if a team in between those two shows up? And then a fourth question, what if a team about 5/8 of the way shows up? Let's answer all those.
See, first ballot.
I
That's
mean,
that's the
dude.
first ballot bust.
That was
there.
okay. No, that was okay. That was ball busting. That right there was. I'm glad we know the difference. That was straight, uncut, pure ball busting. You're right. That was. Jesus.
I'm getting you a nutcracker for Christmas next year.
But for the record, Doug opened the door to that one. I just pushed it open. So I feel like Doug did going into the Tennessee game. Doug was very confident. He loved the matchup. I was nervous. I was a little nervous. It's flipped. I don't know why. Obviously, could go horribly wrong. I feel like Ohio State can. It's watching what Penn State did to Oregon. Once Penn State took that initial blow, I think they were down 14-0 real quick in the Big Ten title game, and they kind of set their feet, got a deep breath, and from that point on, they were just bulldozing them. And Oregon, if that game's 2 minutes longer, Penn State wins that game. Penn State.
They almost lost to Wisconsin too.
Yeah, I just feel like Oregon's not going to match the level they played the first time we played, and I feel like we are going to elevate our level. And then I see a double-digit win. I do that 2.5. Yeah, that would be. I feel pretty confident with that one. What do you think about Notre Dame, Georgia now? They're in the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah,
down there, they playing down there. Yeah. What do you guys think about this one? Oh,
It's
a backup quarterback.
Well, yeah, if Carson Beck was playing, well, the line wouldn't be what it is, but I would feel very confident in Georgia winning this game. But with this backup in the way Notre Dame's been playing, I mean, there's a reason the line's minus 1.5, and basically it's a home game for Georgia. So I mean, if on a neutral field, I mean, they're even saying Notre Dame might be favored by a couple points.
Notre Dame opened. They opened that night as a 1.5 favorite in it.
Hold on. Last time I checked FanDuel, they're okay. Yeah.
Yeah, the one downside. I mean, the one thing you think about this game is history. Georgia has a history of winning these games, and Notre Dame has a history of losing these games. Like Notre Dame, you think about Notre Dame, anytime they've made the college playoffs or they've been in a real big bowl game, they seem to always lose. And Georgia seems to always win. And even though I think Notre Dame right now is probably the better team, I just don't know if I could pull the trigger and say, yeah, I'm going to take a Notre Dame team over a Georgia team. That's just hard to do. Very, very hard to do. I mean, if I have gun to my head, this is one of those games I would lay off as a better, but gun to my head, I'm taking Georgia simply because of the names. And it kind of even makes me like hesitate when it comes out of my mouth, because deep down I feel like Notre Dame's the better team, but I just feel like Georgia will find a way to win because they always do. And Notre Dame seems to always find a way to lose these games.
What do you think, Dom?
I think this is the game that Notre Dame breaks the trend. I think you're going to see a ton of Notre Dame fans at this game. They've been they're, in case they're everywhere. Notre Dame fans. I think with the backup quarterback and the momentum that Notre Dame has coming into it, I think they reverse the trend. I think it's a surprise. I think there's a couple turnovers that go Notre Dame's way. They get a momentum. They start to actually believe in it, and I love Notre Dame at 1.5 points.
Yeah. So this is just me going on the eye test, me watching Georgia. I've actually watched them a few times this year, but watching the SEC title game against Texas. What's his name? Carson Beck. This is me personally. I just couldn't be less impressed. I mean, he just wasn't playing well. And he gets hurt in that throwing that Hail Mary. He gets his arm blown out. And I watched that second half in this backup quarterback. Now the narrative, if people didn't watch that game, they're going to say, "Oh, the backup quarterback." He was better. He was better. He was faster. He was sharper. He completely reinvigorated that team. I mean, Texas had him dead to rights. It was wild. I guess what I'm saying is that's a long-winded way of saying this is one of those situations where I personally believe that Kirby Smart and the boys they have the right quarterback playing right now. I know it sounds weird, but that's how much better he was in that second half. Something was wrong this second half of the season with this Carson Beck kid. But having said that, this Notre Dame defense, and again, I hate saying this. It makes me want to vomit in my own mouth and swallow it. But I have to be fair. Their defensive and their offensive line, they're real. Their DBs are real. The coach is real. They're fast. They're athletic. This quarterback, this kid, he's playing perfect for that system right now. And it makes me sick. Ultimately, it makes me sick thinking about Ohio State matching up with Notre Dame in the championship game and somehow losing. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Georgia has just got speed and athletic. And Doug, you mentioned earlier maybe Oregon using the underdog role as motivation. How about Georgia? I mean, Georgia, they're a 2-point favorite, but Kirby Smart, he's smart enough to let the boys know that they opened as a dog. They're an underdog. People think Notre Dame should be beating them, or Vegas does. I'm going to take Georgia. If I feel like it's a 75% heart pick, I hope they beat Notre Dame by 50. I really do. But I'm going to take Georgia and cross my fingers. Doug, my analysis was very, very close to yours, but Dominic, ooh, look at the Packers here.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Spoke too soon, didn't we?
Wow, the NFL. Is this a 1.5 spread? I don't know how they do it. All right, so there we go. Now, the last two games, big double-digit point spreads. You got Penn State against Boise out in Arizona, and you got Texas taking on Arizona State down in the Cotton Bowl. What are your thoughts? Let's start with Texas, Arizona State first, Doug.
Well, here's where we get into all the arguments and the dissension with how this playoff was structured. I mean, it's ridiculous that, you got Penn State, who we just throttled, going up against a team like Boise State, and here Oregon has to play us. I mean, it's just insane. But
they're going to fix that. That's fine.
Looking at last week, I think, the favorites.
You mean reseed? You mean reseed that?
Absolutely. The last week.
I thought we earlier were talking about making fun of someone for reseeding.
I wasn't. Casey might have. And
okay.
the NFL does reseed, Dom.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do. They reseed every round, bub. The NFL reseeds.
We were just talking. Well, go ahead. I don't want to digress.
Jesus. Come on, Dom. Get it together. All right. Penn State, Boise State. Who knows anything about frickin' Boise State? The one big difference compared to last week is it's a neutral site. It's not at Penn State. Penn State was dominant at home. 10.5 points is a lot of points.
It's up to 12. It's 12.
Well, it depends
I mean, what is the deal?
depends what line you're looking at, but 10.5 to 12 is not a big difference. It just, I mean, it's another game where if I had to bet it, I would take Penn State. I know Boise State's got the stud running back, and maybe they could slow the game down a little bit, but there is no way in hell Boise State's going to be able to stop Penn State on offense. I mean, that's ridiculous. Penn State, I mean, they're physically just going to dominate Boise State. I mean, I would take Penn State.
Now, you know, Boise State had Oregon dead to rights this year, too. You know that,
Early
right?
in the year. Well, first game of the year, everybody's a little,
I got it. I got it. I'm just saying that was Oregon, and Oregon had a punt return for a touchdown and a kickoff return for a touchdown, and they won by 1.
Yep.
I would argue that Oregon's offense is.
Yeah, but Oregon's not as physical as Penn State either. But you might be right.
All right, Dom, what do you think?
I'm with Doug. I think Penn State's just too physical. I think their defensive line is something Boise's never seen. I no doubt in my mind they're going to win by more than 2 scores. So I'll take Penn State all day. Was it minus 12.5?
Yeah. Well, right,
yeah.
right, 11.5. Yeah. So you're taking them 2 scores, not meaning a touchdown and a field goal, which would be 10. You mean like 14.
Correct. Their defense is underrated.
Casey's going to take Boise just because, and he should.
No, first of all, Douglas, I don't do things just because.
Well,
That's not how I operate.
You mentioned the Oregon game already, so I know what's going on in your head.
Well, what's going on in my? Well, yeah, I may, like a lot of people out there, I may be thinking about taking the candy.
Yeah,
I haven't given my pick yet, but I'm not. I don't do it just because, or you're implying to go against you two bobos. You kidding me? Better things to do with my thoughts. Oh, I thought Green Bay just intercepted that pass. Look, here's the deal. I am. Boy. Here's what I think. I think one of the two, Boise or Arizona State's going to win outright. That's what I think. Let me say that right now. I don't think people watch.
That is a hot take.
I don't think anybody. I watched Arizona State these last few weeks prior to them boat racing Iowa State. I just don't think people on the East Coast know enough about this. That's why these lines are so. Vegas knows that these people are like they don't know anything about these.
Well, right now we're talking about Penn State, Boise State.
I'm taking Boise State.
All right. Now
it's too many points.
The Texas Arizona.
It's too many points.
I'm with you on Texas Arizona State. I know I took the dog against Texas last week, and they were covering much of the game. Texas got hot at the end. I like Arizona State cover 13. Texas I'm just not a believer. I'll bet against Texas every freaking round.
I know. I know. Me too.
And I do think we'll be playing Texas in the semifinals, and there's a lot of storylines in that game. I think Texas wins this game. I don't think it's ever really a threat to lose it, but I would take the points with Arizona State. I think Arizona State's very feisty. They've been playing very well lately.
I'm gonna take Boise State outright. I wasn't done when you rudely cut me off.
Okay.
I'm taking Boise to win the game. Plus 330.
And Dom, this is coming from a guy who grew up his first 15, 20 years of his life as a diehard Penn State fan.
What the hell are you talking about?
You loved Penn State. Remember that game we won, the national championship, Miami, Penn State? You loved Penn State. I think you were.
Yeah, I wanted to see Penn State win that night. Just like everybody else
did.
Jersey
that night.
Is that right? I had my face painted too. And I had the white.
No, I think you had a helmet on. You had a helmet on.
Did I? Okay.
Larry Johnson jersey.
All of it.
This was pre-Larry Johnson.
All of it. I just huge. Whatever. He's an idiot. Him and I did watch that game together when Vinny Testaverde had 5 picks, and very similar to this. Penn State must have been that night? They must have been a 20-point dog against Miami that night.
It was. I can't remember. It was a big line though. For sure,
they must have been. They were huge dogs. Yeah, but anyways, I'm taking Boise State.
Miami was at the pinnacle. I mean, they were just so intimidating.
Vinny they came off the plane wearing fatigues. They did. Remember that? All right. Okay. I'm on the record. I'm saying Boise State wins this game.
I like it. I mean, I like your bravado.
I just think I think they're a lot more. Yeah, I think they're going to win.
It's going to happen, but I like your bravado.
I know, but when it does, I'll look pretty.
I'll be
pretty smart. Will you? That would be a first.
Although I
All
like
right,
the
Dom, what do you? What? Oh,
I, was
you're
gonna
gonna
say,
stop.
I do like the Big Ten. I
Don't.
do hope the Big Ten does well. It would be fun to
Nice.
see an Ohio State Penn State national championship game. I got to tell you,
Odd.
would it
All
not?
right, Dom, what do you think? What do you? No, it wouldn't. Dom, what do you think about Texas, Arizona State?
All I know about Arizona State is they have some wicked wide receiver that is
He's
just
out. He's injured. He's out. He didn't play against. You're talking about their running back. They have that stud running back. That
for
white
Arizona.
dude.
Yes.
Yeah. He claims to be.
He's out.
Yeah. He's no. He's playing. Their top wide receiver, but their top wide receiver didn't play against Iowa State either. This is a good team. Arizona State is good. They are not. They're nasty. They can throw it around. They can run it. They play fast, physical defense. Who do you got? Who do you got?
I got Texas, and I'll tell you why. They, other than Ohio State, they are the second best as far as their roster talent on their roster. They got two great running backs like Ohio State has. They got a great defensive line. They got two awesome quarterbacks that they have to choose from. The fact that they're not more dominant is just, a joke on their coaching staff. So no, I like Texas way over.
Okay. All right. Texas got a good defense too. All right. Well, so Doug, you're taking the candy there. Arizona State in the points.
Wow.
As am I. Oh yeah, for sure. Yep. As am I. So it's too many. These are. It's way too many points. Those last two games. All right, boys and girls, we've got just a few minutes left in the last podcast of the year 2024. So what do you say we go to the mailbag? All right, we've got 3 mailbag questions for you, our listeners, to enjoy, sink your teeth into, ponder, because perhaps your life and your relationship maybe have some similarities. All right, so without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's start with
Finaled. All right.
Yeah, they got him. Yep, they got him. Minnesota got him. I mean, was Minnesota favored by a point and a half?
Point and a half.
And they won. And they win by 2.
1 by 2.
That is that is some ridiculousness. All right, boys and girls. This is from Bree, 29-year-old female, Charlotte, North Carolina. Was visiting a friend in Ohio who was listening to your podcast a couple of months ago, and I've been hooked ever since. Thank you, Bree. Thought you could help me with my dilemma. Been dating my boyfriend for a year and a half. We are serious, talk about the future often. I really thought he was going to propose over Christmas or on Christmas. Instead, I got a sweatshirt and a Visa gift card.
Do we have an amount?
That's a good point, Doug. No, we don't. Good point. Anything $50 or above, that's the gift that keeps on giving. I think he noticed my disappointment, and things have been kind of weird since. Should I tell him? Obviously, I'm embarrassed to say what I was hoping for. Also, am I wrong to feel this way? How much time before an engagement is appropriate? Thank you. Bree, 29 years old. Sure.
Well, okay. Listen up. I know married couples that were engaged for anywhere from, not engaged, but dating anywhere from 3 weeks to like 8 years. So to say there's a certain deadline, like I don't know the fluidity and the relationship and how intense it is, but you would think at some point, typically before that proposal happens, there are some conversations about
He said they talk about the future often.
Okay, so but do they talk about
That's what that means.
proposal or dates, or if they
The future. You talk about a 29. They're talking about the future. When a 29-year-old says that, they're talking about life together, marriage, kids.
Yeah.
Come on, get with it.
Right. I guess if
Why Christmas?
If they're talking about the future a lot and it's been like over a year, then maybe she needs to say, hey, sit down with them and say, what are you thinking, like timeline wise? Like, what? Yeah, you can have that conversation, but to just get mad at him and him not know why, and then you change your behavior, well, that's not really going to help anything. Like, you can't force the guy into it. So be a grown up, have an adult conversation, ask what he thinks, in regards to timelines and stuff like that. But I don't think for him to get a reaction or to ask you because you're going to start acting differently is the way to do it. Because then you're like forcing him into it. I don't like that either. Got to communicate. Comes back to communication. That's where I'm at.
Dom?
Well, we've just overlooked this gentleman is a next level gift card giver, because if you really want to give someone a gift card, you give them a Visa. You don't box them into like a Target or a Best Buy or a Panera. You give them a Visa gift card.
Yeah,
That's
that's a solid gift.
that's next
See.
level gift card giving right there. She just did not appreciate that, and shame on her for that. My next point would be, why would it have to be Christmas? Like, wouldn't you want your engagement to be something on I don't know, some other day besides Christmas? That seems like a weird day for it, unless they had previously talked about Christmas and that being a good time to propose, because that's kind of weird how she would expect it on Christmas. Is that wrong? Is that big proposal time?
No, unless they
I
had some
haven't
type of
really heard of that.
conversations that made her think
Right.
it was going to happen on that specific day.
Right. So,
Bree, you might think that I'm about to. I mean, right now you must be suffocating, with these two piling on your poor soul, and you may be thinking, "Oh boy, here comes the." Nay, I will not. I understand the spirit of this message. These two bozos, although Dom kind of did with the gift card. He's right about the gift card. That's because you can go anywhere with that. Hell, you could give it back to him as part of a down payment for an engagement ring. You got to think of the positives, Bree. You always got to remember the positives. Now, I understand, sweetheart. You're 29 years old. Okay, these two curmudgeons, okay, obviously aren't thinking about that. Of course, you're right in that sweet spot. The pressure, your friends are probably starting to get engaged. And that is the age where girls start to think, oh my God, if I'm not married with children, something's wrong with me. But believe it or not, at around 30, it's being my age and looking back on it, it's incredible. But I was there once too. Look what happened to mine. I mean, I don't think I've ever met anybody with a shorter marriage than mine. It was 18 months. Don't worry about it. There you go. There's another positive for you. Okay, you got that going for you. So when it does happen, odds are you'll be rushing to Vegas, taking the over. Anyway, so of course you're thinking the holidays. You've been dating this guy for a year and a half. Absolutely understandable to think, hey, maybe this will be the time. But if I may. The marriage proposal, it's kind of cliche. You do it, you guy gets on one knee in front of people, in front of the tree. And it's kind of like, oh, perhaps a little more private. So it's not the end of the world there. And to answer your question in terms of expectations and timeline, sweetheart, life is long. Okay, marriage is long. And again, there's a pressure bubble. There's a little bubble where everyone thinks that it's like the time. Offer you a nickel's worth of free advice here from an old man. There is no timeline. You shouldn't feel any pressure. Okay, let things happen naturally. I promise you. Okay, there's so much life left ahead of you. Unless you're texting on your phone and you get wedged under a semi when you're driving on the highway and go up in flames. And then life is cut short. Okay. Hopefully that answers your question. Some would say that the getting engaged and getting married would be metaphorically similar to driving down the highway at a high rate of speed, texting on your phone, not paying attention, and getting wedged under a semi and dying a slow, burning, painful death. Question 2. You guys want to go flatulence or sex? I want to beach here.
Sex.
Okay, sex first.
I mean, I'm done with flatulence. I've had enough.
We're going to do the flatulence one
never have
next.
enough.
Oh, well, if we're doing it both, then you pick it.
Well, you're okay, grumpy Gus. Okay, Relax.
Flatulence.
It's a fun show. Okay? Amy, 35 years old, Columbus, Ohio. Should a lack of sex be a reason to end a relationship? We've been together for 5 years. My boyfriend is amazing, beyond thoughtful, caring, giving, funny, awesome to hang around, etc. The whole 9 yards. Sex has gradually fallen off a cliff, however, recently, and now it's been months since we've done it. I've tried talking to him, but he just shuts down. Any advice?
Well, yeah, this is obviously something that's going to continue to build and become a serious, even more serious issue. If for some reason he's not wanting to have sex with you, that's a problem because why? The question is why? Why? Is he getting it somewhere else? Is he just not want to do it anymore? I mean, there has to be an answer to that. Your other alternative is if you both love each other and he just doesn't want to ever have sex. I mean, but you want to stay with him, and you go to an open marriage. I really don't know, but of course it's a problem. You know the answer to this. I would. You got to talk to him. And is the problem just going to go away without you, with you continuing to not have sex with him? Obviously not. The problem's going to stay there. So you got to make a choice. You got to fix it. You got to work on it, or you got to get out of it, or another solution. But doing what you're doing now is obviously not the right way to go. And it's not the answer, and it's not what you want long term. So communicate.
100% agree with Doug there. Why is there a new medication that he's on? Could be something like that. It could be as easily as something like that. But to your point, uh, the physical attraction is a big part of marriage too. So if that is something that is withered and is not, revivable, then yeah, I couldn't have said any better, Doug. Got to have that conversation.
A lot of variables missing here. For example, if 2 years ago you had sex 3 times a day and it's down to nothing, which that's a pretty drastic example, but let's just assume it wasn't that much. So here's the thing with men. I'm just hit it right on the head. So Amy is saying that she try to talk to him. Okay, we're only getting her side of this. Try to talk to him, he shuts down. Men are very insecure when it comes to talking about things like this. Okay, we're almost done, Doug. Very insecure about this. And, did he start a new medication? Getting older, testosterone levels decrease. Has he gained a little weight? Does he not look or feel like he used to? Sex is a weird thing, man. I will preach this from the mountaintops over and over on this podcast. I will speak. Ask me if you have some kind of weird taboo. Ask me. I'll talk about it for you. Sex is very, very hard for people to talk about, especially when something's off. Because something's off. It doesn't have to be relationship breaking. It does not have to be. Okay. There's different approaches to try to find the answer. Maybe you try to approach him. You try to talk to him about it one time. Try different ways. Try, men. Make sure he knows how attractive he is to you. Make sure he knows how much you appreciate his physical appearance and what he does for you in bed. That's my serious answer to that. Now my not so serious answer is, yeah, we could try cuckolding. I mean, I'm not sure if that would work, but you put him in the corner. You let Timmy king size Snickers come on over. Go to Pound Town. See if that jostles him up a little bit. Maybe that'll wake him up. But yeah, no, absolutely. Sounds like you got a good dude there. You talked about how good he was in the relationship. There's ways. There's ways to figure it out, okay? There's ways to figure it out. And then there's ways to, if you've got a high libido and he doesn't, there's toys. There's all kinds of things. Sexual pressure is the worst. It's the worst. If someone feels like you're about to leave them because they're not sexually equaling whatever it is that you want, that's a real problem. I'm going to tell you that right now. All right. Finally, question 3, then we're out of here. When is open flatulence okay in a relationship? How do you feel about bathroom activities being shared? For example, number 1, number 2, showering, etc., in front of each other. I personally am repulsed by farting and defecating, but my boyfriend thinks it's funny. I legit want to leave him because of it. Brittany from Newark, New Jersey, no age.
Well, I know I'm not a guy's guy probably in this response, but I do I never want to hear the girl I'm with farting, nor am I going to fart in front of her. I don't care how long I'm with somebody.
Totally
Because
agree.
we have, Casey, we've talked on the show many times with other questions that once that ick happens, and this is a perfect example of it, it could be for the dumbest things. You could think it's harmless.
Yep.
But if the significant other catches the ick, it is hard to come back from. Now, I mean, using the bathroom, that's just part of a marriage relationship as far as like showering and taking a whiz, taking a pee, like that's one thing. But I got to tell you, a number two and farting, I'm out. I'm out on both of those. I don't want to see it. I don't want to know about it. I don't want to smell it. I don't want to hear it.
Dom.
That's where I'm at. And I completely understand where she's coming from.
Yep.
Okay. Two parts to that. What about the accidental one? I mean, you're with someone for a long time.
Okay, well,
and you're in a
accidents
car
are
ride.
accidents. She's not talking about accidents. She's talking about the guy laughing, coming up to her, farting right next to her face. That's what she's talking about.
Well, yeah, I don't condone that type. But I think after a year and a
Accidental
half,
farts are hard to come back from. I know from personal experience. You got to be super careful when it comes to flatulence. You got to be so careful.
that's why the first
Yeah, I
6
mean-
months they're critical.
Guys, remember my buddy, the old 69. Oops. Yeah.
Could never
Okay.
forget it. Could never forget that.
I'm just telling you, accidental farts. God bless you. I'm not saying you meant to. Go ahead, Dom. But those are.
Okay. So that's one thing. Never on purpose. So I agree with Doug. Like you never want to like just start, Dutch ovening someone just to do it.
Yep.
I, for the life of me, can't imagine anyone agreed, like just sitting in a bathroom going number two, talking to someone.
Oh.
I don't want anyone around when I do that, let alone someone I'm hoping to remain, physically attracted to. I can't for the life of me think anyone would think that would be okay in any stretch of the imagination. So the first question of flatulence, try to hold off as long as possible. But I mean, we've both been in long car rides after, some QB, and the window needs cracked. So that's where I'm at with that one.
All right.
Case, no one else, Mariano Rivera,
No.
to take this one home for us.
No, we're going to wrap this up. Brittany, this is an easy one. I would consider this 1,000 times more of a deal breaker of a relationship than the question before. Personally, and it goes both ways. The answer is no. I agree with you, Brittany. The answer is no. I mean, if I was with a woman that thought it was funny and just kept ripping ass, and I was like, shit ain't fun. Shit ain't funny. It ain't funny. Listen, I would absolutely, and what Doug was saying, the little urinations, shower. Hey, if the question is all or none, I take none. I would separate my bathroom activities completely. Ladies and gentlemen, you got to understand, there's so many guys out there. I was one of them. There's so many guys that are so comfortable. They're so comfortable thinking that their girl will never cheat on them. They're ripping ass. They're doing things they never used to do when they were courting. I promise you, they will. I promise you. As soon as they're repulsed by you and they start resenting you, it's an outward spiral. And they'll find Prince Charming who doesn't shit his pants and Dutch oven them, and poop in front of them. Okay? Trust me. And then you'll be unintentionally cuckolded for all the wrong reasons. All right, ladies and gentlemen, just like that, we are wrapping up the new year. Ladies and gentlemen, for Douglas William Wade, for Dominic Rose, the VP of Hype, my name's Casey. Until next year, have a great day, everybody. Take care. God bless. Peace and love. And we'll see you on the other side. Bye-bye.
Do you believe this stuff that's coming out of your mouth? There's no way you do.
This was a credit card cuckold.
Love wins out in the end,